Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Everything Vive. Hope you all are doing well. I'm here with Ronnie. How you doing, Ronnie?
You know it.
We're tired, man. It's been a long day.
I'm so tired.
I think I've done the intro for this episode how many times already?
Let's not even. I was about to do the intro myself. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. Let's move on to the fun stuff. Well, welcome to Game Talk Volume 2. We would like to do this every week or so, just chat about the games that we've been playing and games that we're looking forward to. So, Ronnie, you want to start or should I? I'll go first because I think.
Yeah, go ahead.
This is a game that I mentioned last week, Containment Initiative, another zombie shooter. I think you had a chance to play it.
I did.
Last time you were over.
Yeah, I didn't get to spend a lot of time on it, but the time I did spend, I thought it was pretty cool. And it had we'll get into it. I'm sure Zane will talk about it a little bit, but it had a different vibe than the other zombie games that I've played on the Vive.
Yeah, so it was still wave-based, but what was interesting about this one, well, okay, let's talk about the gun mechanics first. The reloading mechanics were probably some of the best that I've seen so far. The only other game that I think really pushes that envelope is Onward, and we discussed that last week. And so here, basic controls still, but it's just cool to be able to manipulate the guns and weapons that you have. And the reloading mechanics are very intuitive and very realistic. I hate using that word, but it's in a sense, in a VR sense, it's realistic, and you get into the motion of reloading, and it becomes second nature to you,
sure.
Just like in these other games. So
and I mean, just in the brief experience that I had playing the game, I thought it was kind of neat that it was during the daytime and it had kind of a different, almost an arcadey type feel to it. So it was a little bit more lighthearted than something like Brookhaven Experiments or some of the other zombie games.
They do have nighttime ones.
Okay.
Or nighttime levels. Well, okay, so what's really interesting about this game, or at least what I find a little bit more fascinating about it, is it's wave-based, but you can win. And I'm doing air quotes here for win, because the premise of the game is that you're going in, you're being hired as some military contractor or mercenary to go in and essentially thin the horde of zombies. And so you go in and you try to kill as many zombies as you can. And then there's like a little red button there next, like near where you spawn. And as soon as you press that, you have to survive for 45 more seconds before they can exfiltrate you. And once you do that, however many zombies you kill, I think you get like $5 per zombie, which you then use to upgrade to other bigger weapons. And so it was nice in the sense where like you don't play until you die, and so maybe there's some weird psychological factor of like, wow, I actually won, or I made it out alive, which is different than the other wave base where you just you keep going until you literally can't go any further. And so I thought that was an interesting take on it, and they had a tower defense type of level as well, where you're using a sniper rifle to protect a safe house and just shooting zombies from far. And I thought the mechanics there were pretty cool. And I thought it was just different for a zombie game to see a zombie game like that.
That is cool.
Instead of everything just being wave-based the way that it has been, this is more so tower defense, but in that arena.
Very, very cool. So I guess the next game, and this is a game that Zane, you actually showed me earlier today, and I was super impressed with, is Richie's Plank Experience.
It's so unassuming, right?
Yeah, I'm actually surprised I haven't heard of this game before. Did it come out recently, or
yeah, I mean, not at the time of this recording, maybe 2-3 weeks max.
Okay. But I mean, I hadn't heard of it myself, and maybe I just didn't catch wind of it. But it was really, I mean, it's very simple, and I hope that the developers put more time to add some stuff into it. But they really, the mechanics of what they put into this game, and just kind of the sense of presence that you feel from it. And I mean, I'll explain more detail in a second, but yeah, the sense of presence that you get is really outstanding in this title. I've played a lot of Vive games, obviously, and this one made me feel certain ways that I think I'm going to have to add this to my list of games that I'm going to show people when giving them a demo of the Vive for the first time, because
I think it really highlights the immersion factor. And I kind of don't want to ruin the surprise or experience for anybody who's interested in getting the game.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with that. I was thinking about explaining it a little bit more in detail before.
I heard you dancing around the topic a little bit.
Yeah, but let's just say that it's a small kind of almost tech demo-y type game at this point. Not a lot of structure, not a lot of gameplay per se, but it makes you feel a certain way, and it's so cool that I think it's worth the price of admission.
Yeah, and I mean the price of admission is I think $6 or $8. And that's honestly that's one of the reasons why I think I passed up on it. You know, I scroll through Steam pretty much every day, every other day, just seeing what's new and out. And, you know, some of these games, if they got lower prices, I'm not trying to be, you know, judge a book by its cover, but sometimes if they have lower prices and I haven't heard anything about it, I'll just assume it's just an easy, quick demo. And until I hear something better about the game or something further or see a demo of it, I probably will not be interested or at least not even look further into it. You know, at this point, I'm really trying to look more into games that have a little bit more depth, but I cannot recommend this more than I already do. It's a game, well, and I don't even want to call it a game. It's literally Richie's Plank experience. And if you can't figure out what it is by the name, I mean, you'll see so as soon as you step into the elevator. That's all I'll say. But yeah, highly recommend it.
All right, so then the next game on our list to talk about, and this has been out since, you know, the Vive was released, so it's been out for several months, but it's definitely still worth mentioning because if you're a new Vive owner or you haven't tried this yet, this is free, and it's really...
I don't think it's free anymore.
It's not? Okay.
Yeah, so I got it for $3.
$3? Okay, but still...
won't break the bank, but
no,
not
but
free.
It's still... I wonder, have they added... Do you know if they've added anything, or... have you played it since?
I have, which is why I wanted to include it this week, just because it's one of those games that I like having people who first time VR experience. I think it's pretty cool.
But it's really cool actually.
I mean, the first time I did it was at your place. The first time I played it was at your place.
And I mean, one of the most fun. I mean, again, without spoiling too much about it, because I think it's fun to just experience it yourself. You're essentially sneaking around like a spy, and the game gets you to do certain things, like in terms of ducking and crawling and that kind of thing, that is really entertaining to watch if you're someone on the sidelines demoing it for someone. And it's also cool to see how they were able to use room scale in a way where you don't have to use teleportation. So you're moving around environments.
Yep.
By going around the play area in different ways to where you don't remember, like when you're doing it, you don't really feel like you're just going around in circles. But it's a very clever use of space.
It's a great use of space. I mean, I think that's the perfect way to put it, because I've had people who've tried it and then they take off the headset and they're like, "Whoa, I just did all that in this tiny little square." And I mean, I think that's the perfect reaction for anybody who comes out of that game. And so, like Ronnie said, it's a simple. You're trying to save all the cat videos on the internet. I think is the main mission of your spy job. But it's a really cool game, and I think it's, like I said, $3. I mean, you probably got it free when it first came out. It's $3 now, worth the investment and worth testing, or not testing, but worth having your friends test out the first time they get into VR. And you can totally take videos of them crawling along the floor or trying to figure out, just because it looks funny when you're not playing the game and watching someone else play the game.
Yep. And then the next one on our list is Holopoint. Again, not a new game, but it's definitely worth checking out if you haven't. And it's essentially, I mean, you're in a dojo from the Matrix, more or less, and you have a bow and arrow. Unlike longbow in the lab, you do have to reach over your back to pull out arrows. But the unique thing about Holopoint, and a lot of people that I've shown the Vive to enjoy Holopoint more than most other games, is the amount of activity, physical activity that you do in playing Holopoint. Essentially, you're shooting targets. It gets into some other territory later on once you start getting further in the game. But the cool part about it is you reach on your back, you grab an arrow, you shoot different cubes. But when you shoot the cube and are successful in hitting it, it shoots something back at you. And the cool thing that the game does, it empowers you by slowing down time just a little bit as the projectile comes near you. So you have a chance to dodge it. And if you become really fast and efficient at it, you can shoot a cube, dodge, shoot a cube, dodge, shoot a cube, dodge. And these cubes are just appearing at random places all around you.
360 degrees, right?
360 degrees. So you can imagine how hectic and how, physically draining it can be to, dodge, shoot, turn, dodge, shoot, turn, dodge, shoot. It's really a lot of fun. Now, this is one that you'll probably want to, if you listen to our top tips for the Vive video previously, this is one that you'll definitely be wanting to watch that foam face guard on, because
it's going to give you a workout.
I can tell you, it gives you a workout. It's going to give your friends a workout. It's going to make that faceplate pretty gross, but it's a lot of fun. It's definitely worth getting. So I wanted to mention it here.
Now, I personally haven't played this yet. You mentioned it just before we jumped on for the podcast today. How are the mechanics compared to the lab or the longbow in the lab?
Yeah,
because
so
that's the only archery game I've played up to this point.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I played a different one, but I think the lab is still the premium or premier for me.
Yeah.
How would you rate this compared to that?
I mean, the lab I think it's less physical, but I'm just talking
about the bow and arrow mechanics.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the lab has more polish to it. I mean, Valve is amazing, and I still overall, if I had to choose one to not exist, I would rather have the labs experience with longbow.
Okay.
But that aside, I think this is different enough to where if you like longbow, it's worth checking out Holopoint. I think if you can get it, if you can find it for a relatively cheap price, $10 or so, I think it's definitely worth getting, and it's different enough to where it'll make sense to have both. And like I said before, you do have to pull out arrows from a quiver on your back.
It's a little bit more of a natural.
So it's there's a little bit more to it, but then it's a little bit more finicky. Sometimes you don't pull the arrow out correctly, or it doesn't line up as well. Whereas I feel like longbow in the lab is a little bit more automatic.
Yeah.
So it kind of gives you that, but you don't get to dodge really, and you don't get to do so.
This one sounds like it's a little bit more interactive.
Yeah. So it's kind of a trade-off. So I can't really. It's hard to choose between the two. I would choose Valve's longbow if I had to, but we don't have to. You can have both.
I was just gonna say, thankfully, we don't have to. All right. Well, I think that covers it for the games that we've been playing very recently. There's a honorable mention, which is not a game, but
Yeah.
Ronnie, you were telling me about this earlier.
Yeah. So it's Destinations. It's an application. I would consider it more of an application or software versus a game, but it's free, so it is something that you can just get in Steam. It essentially allows developers or users through Steam Workshop to upload environments that you can then get to explore on your own using teleportation in the Vive. So you can go to all sorts of different locations. The one that I tried this morning, and it's why I'm mentioning it here, was Valve's headquarters lobby. So I had seen an article about it that reminded me about Destinations. I opened it up and I checked it out, and it's just kind of cool to see a space in 3D, in virtual reality, and get to explore a little bit. And I do think that this kind of thing does have some application in the future for people wanting to show off, real estate, show off architecture, that sort of thing.
Cool. All right. Well, before we sign off, Ronnie, what's one game you're really excited to get into this week?
So I haven't gotten a chance to purchase it or play it yet, but I actually really want to try a game on Steam called Swordmaster Vr. And from what I can tell, and I have not played it yet, so it's possible that I'm going to get on here next week and say that it's terrible, don't recommend it, blah, blah, blah. But it has mostly positive reviews in Steam, and it looks super cool. It looks like something I'd be really interested in. It's basically, I mean, the way it's described in the Steam store is Dark Souls in VR. And it's essentially, you have various weapons. I'm not sure if it's just swords or not. I'm going to have to check it out. I know it's at least swords and shields. But you're basically battling opponents with swords and shields. And it's like I said, like Dark Souls-esque, where you really are dodging and reading your opponent's attacks and really getting interactive and physical with the fighting. So that sounds awesome to me.
It sounds like every kid's dream.
Yeah, it sounds really cool.
When you play sword fighting, now you can actually do it in virtual reality. All right, I'll have to check that one out.
And I'm kind of curious to see. I mean, there's some things that I'm wondering how it's going to deal with those kind of, like, I mean, you're not going to be able to feel the other player as much since, there's no kind of physical, no one blocking your sword, in the real world. So I'm kind of curious to see how that stuff's going to play out, but I'm really excited to play it, and hopefully we'll get to talk about it next week.
For sure. All right, well.
What about you, Zane? Anything that you look forward to playing this week?
Yep. So I mentioned it last week. I did purchase Solace Project, and I got started on the first level.
Okay.
So far, it's really cool, and it's exactly what I'm looking for. I wanted a game that has a little bit more depth, a little bit more immersion and storyline, and so far it's been pretty cool. I mean, I'm still on the first level, or still within the first couple missions, but just learning the controls, learning everything about it, we'll hopefully have something to report back by the next time we do this.
Awesome. So, well, yeah. Looking forward to playing that and playing Swordmaster and hearing your experiences with Solace Project. I think that about does it for today's episode. Thank you guys, as always, for listening. Again, if you have any suggestions of games that we should look into, games that might be coming out in the next week or two that we should have on our radar, please let us know in the comments below.
Yes,
and otherwise, I guess guess that's it.
Yeah, that's it for now. Like Ronnie was saying, we got our website is up, everythingvive.com. You can reach out to us there. Shoot us an email. We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. And I guess we're just, come talk to us, man. We love this stuff, so we can talk about it all day. But yes, hope you guys have a fantastic day, night, or whenever you all are listening to this, and we will talk to you again very soon. Take care.